So now that we know how important emotional intelligence is for teachers, let's first try and understand what is emotional intelligence. Well, this is a definition given by me in my book Emotional Intelligence Journey to Self Positive, published in 2017. Well, as you can see the definition, it says emotional intelligence involves competencies related to understanding and managing one's own emotions, understanding others' emotions, developing and maintaining satisfying relationships with others, and channeling one's emotional energy to create a positive self. Well, if you look at this definition, there are certain points which are really, really important for us to focus upon. One of the most important points is that emotional intelligence is a competency. And once you say that it's a competency, that means you can develop it. You can work towards enhancing your emotional intelligence. Okay? And another important thing to focus upon is that it mainly consists of four components, right? So the first is emotional self awareness. That means understanding your own emotions. Second is self management or emotional self management. Third is understanding the emotions of other people, which is empathy. And fourth is developing and maintaining satisfying relationships. Now, if you want, you can put them under two broad headings, starting with self competence. So, the first is self competence, and there are two subcomponents of this domain. The first subcomponent is emotional self awareness. That means that we should be aware of what we are feeling. We are able to identify and understand emotions in our own self. We, at the same time, understand how emotions are influencing our thought processes, our judgment, our behavior. Then we also need to be aware of the causes of our emotional state. What is leading to a certain emotional state? For example, if you are getting angry, so what is causing us to be angry? Likewise, we also need to be able to correctly label the emotion that we're experiencing. I think this is really important. A lot of the times we mislabel a certain emotion. For example, we may be experiencing a lot of excitement, but we confuse it as anxiety. And believe me, if you mislabel a certain emotion, obviously the resultant behavior is going to be different. So we need to be really aware as to how to correctly label our emotions. For that, we also need to develop a good vocabulary for emotion related words. A very important part of your own self awareness is accurate self assessment. That means you're able to understand and assess yourself in a very realistic way. It is also known as realistic self assessment at many places. What does that mean? Well, that in brief refers to the SWOT analysis, which is very, very popular. What is the SWOT analysis? As you can see, that we are aware of our strengths. What are the things that we have which are going to help us, which are not present in people around us? Those are our strengths. What are our weaknesses? What are the things that we are not able to sort of master a lot? Okay, so our weaknesses, the opportunities that we have, the resources that we have around us, and at the same time, the challenges that we are facing. Now, why is this important? Why is accurate self assessment important? It's important because you are able to move towards realizing your potential, and you are also able to correctly assess who you are. Realistic understanding of your own self, so that you are able to set goals for yourself, which are again very realistic and attainable. At the same time, you're able to motivate yourself to attain those goals. Well, so for each subcomponent that I will be discussing with you, I will be talking about how that component or subcomponent is important for teachers. Okay. So, because we've just learned about emotional self awareness, we will see how it is important for teachers. Of course, it's important for them because they need to be aware about their emotions. They need to be able to communicate their emotions well to other people. And for that, they need to have a good vocabulary. They also need a good vocabulary to be able to label their emotions correctly. Then they also need to have a realistic assessment of their own self, for which they can use the SWOT analysis. And emotional self awareness is extremely important because if you really need to improve yourself, if you really need to understand other people, I think the best place to start with is yourself. You first understand yourself, you first assess yourself, and then try and understand other people. So, what are the ways in which we can develop emotional self awareness? Well, as we've talked before, we need to understand the concepts related to emotions. Okay, we need to have more clarity about emotions. We need to know or learn more emotion related terms. Often you will see that we use the term very with a particular emotion to express that emotion in its extremity. But if you try to learn different words for different levels of that emotion or the same emotion in different intensities, then I think we'll be better able to communicate about our emotions and understand ourselves better. Experiencing the emotion. Okay, so we need to give our emotions their due. We need not just, stop talking about them, or we need not focus on them. No, I don't think that's a good attitude. We need to experience our emotions fully. We also need to observe our thoughts while we are experiencing an emotion because we know the relationship between thought and emotion and the kind of thought that you have that is going to change the way you are feeling. A very good idea to be aware of about your emotions is to maintain an emotion journal. You can maintain a diary, you can maintain a journal in which you jot down your feelings that you had throughout the day. And once you look back at it, maybe after a week or a month, you are able to get a lot of ideas about which emotions you're experiencing a lot and which your emotions you're not experiencing at all. So it'll give you good insight about your own emotions. At the same time, we also need to observe the reactions of other people, right? See how the reactions of other people are so important for understanding ourselves. So, your self related information is not just coming from your own self, it is also coming from the reactions of other people, right? So, we also need to focus on that. Plus, obviously, we need to do a lot of introspection, we need to do a lot of self analysis about our goals, about our motives. Other strategies are yes, we take the reactions of other people, we take feedback from other people about ourselves, but we also give importance to that feedback. We value that feedback. And then we reflect upon that feedback and try to gain from it. Try to gain how we can develop from that feedback. And obviously, the most important strategy for your own self assessment is SWOC, as we have just talked about.